Hello, fellow Earthlings. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'm Santa's grandson. The big guy Santa asked me to give you his New Year's address again this year. Right, Santa? Santa's a little tuckered out this time. More than normal because on Christmas Eve, there was no snow. You noticed, didn't you? Due to the warmer temperatures, even Rudolph and the other reindeer are very exhausted. Frosty the Snowman hasn't even made an appearance yet this winter. Surely you've heard of climate change, right? Of course, I thought so. Who hasn't? Well, climate change concerns all of us. To survive, we all breathe the same air, drink the same water, and need the same food grown in the same soil. We are only as healthy as our environment. We rent or borrow water and elements throughout our lives as they temporarily form our bodies. When we die, they return back to the system. But of course, you know that. If the environment is destroyed, then humanity suffers, and many of our fellow creatures too. Who wants that to happen? Exactly, no one. However, we'd better start changing our own habits, and now. Collectively, by making wise choices, we could change a world like that. And to be honest, there's no choice. We have to. That is, if we want ourselves and the next generation to survive in a healthy planet. Ironically, the solutions are simple. Tell me a few. Just say them out loud. I can hear you. Buy local? Yes. Keeps the local economy rolling. Buy used items? Definitely. They're better quality and they're usually less expensive anyway. Walk to school or work, ride your bike, take the bus. Those are super suggestions. Eat less meat? That's huge. Be a conscious eater. All of our choices count. Many of us recycle. You know the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle. They were introduced 30 years ago. Well, let's add 2 more R's. Why? Because it's 2016. Rethink and revitalize. Now we have the 5 R's. Reduce, reuse, recycle, rethink, and revitalize. How can we apply them? Okay, did you cut down a Christmas tree this year? Did you really have to? We need more trees on the planet. Why not plant one instead? Together we could plant trees all over the world every year and revitalize the planet. See the power of rethinking? Okay. We have to apply that paradigm shift to everything. Notice that I said we. It's not about me anymore. That's another shift from me to we. I'm the same as you. A changing climate concerns all of us, including all the creatures on the planet. Like this guy. Thankfully, there is good news. This shift is already happening. The sharing and cooperative economy is taking off everywhere around us. Car share, bike share, community gardens, the opportunities are endless. Have you ever used a library or school or university or swam in a public pool? Or taken a bus or driven on a highway or walked on a sidewalk? Of course. All of those resources are shared. That's the sharing economy. We're all using the same infrastructure. It makes sense since we all breathe the same air and drink the same water. That philosophy relates to other areas of our lives as we go deeper. Years ago, communities worked together. Neighbors knew each other's names, shared with each other, supported each other, and also invested in projects that benefited everyone, the whole. That's what we have to reinvent. Our lives will be more enjoyable. Would you rather sit in a traffic jam or ride a train? Yes, me too. Of course, ride the train. We're too smart to be sitting in traffic jams, but we still are. We have to start acting smarter, too. Today. And how are we going to get there? And who's going to make it happen? Look into a mirror. You are. We are. Together. We need to understand new ideas and support them both financially and with our time and energy. Lots of good people have personal stocks or pension stocks invested in companies that are killing the planet. We can't turn a blind eye to this any longer. Find out what yours are doing. If they aren't good for the planet, pressure the company or divest them or reinvest that money in companies that are taking actions to save the planet. Companies that are building solar panels or making the water cleaner, for example, or teaching others skills to build a greener tomorrow. Without an environment, there is no economy either. We need to tell economists that nothing can grow forever. Of course, you know that, right? Well, let's not ignore that reality any longer. Remember I mentioned the me to we shift? That allows us to focus on the whole, not just the self or your own. We will then treat everyone like they are our grandparent, parent, brother, child, or sister. If someone tries something different, don't stand on the sidelines or criticize them. Get up there to learn what they represent. Stand beside them and encourage them if you align with their cause. Diversity is important and should be celebrated. Think of some heroes of our time. Say their names out loud. Mandela, Gandhi, Martin Luther, Mother Teresa. Most were persecuted when they stood up for what they believed in. They stood for their truth, our truth, a cause greater than themselves. By giving everything, they ultimately received everything, including our admiration. It is in giving that we receive. And their selflessness affected real change in the world. After all, life's about what you give and not what you get, right? We know that. So let's start living that way. Even in our midst here and now, we have heroes doing the same thing. Julian Assange and Edward Snowden are exiled for exposing the truth. Each of us have that hero gene inside us. We need to recognize that in ourselves and in others. Consider this. Medical doctors who attend to the health of the individual one person are celebrated and very well compensated. Meanwhile, environmental activists, scientists who stand for the health of the planet, the whole, the health of all of us, including those doctors, are often still marginalized. How does that make sense? That's the shift I see. With a moral awakening, we'll see inequality as true poverty and equality as true wealth. Those that have too much will give it away. A sharing of excessive wealth, be it property or investments, will result as people scramble for a balanced and fair world. The sooner we look in that mirror, the better. There will be no such thing as early retirement. How is that possible in a world that needs so much healing? Instead of being addicted to pumping weights in a mirror or swinging golf clubs or traveling or skiing or climbing stairs, people will realize that their limited energy should also be applied to useful and practical purposes that help others, and thus all of us in the long run. A muscle in a mirror is only skin deep. A gesture for others touches the spirit and soul. Shovel that old lady's sidewalk, fix that fence, visit someone, or plant a garden for yourself or another. If you're flying away on holidays again and again, ask yourself why. Why do you have to vacate your community so often to have a good time? Please remember that the greatest journey is that within ourselves. Do you need that trip? Or is it merely a diversion from the here and now and global challenges that need our attention today, and you have a responsibility to help solve? There are choices. Why not donate that money to a local cause and volunteer in your community, or take a course that teaches you a new skill? Or even better, sponsor someone else to take that course. Give it away. Think about it. These days, we ignore today's challenges anyway by being distracted by the past, future, or virtual world. It's time to get real and pay attention. We're obsessed with dinosaurs, but what are we doing about today's endangered species? Here's our friend again, the elephant. Not enough. We're obsessed with sports, but sadly ignore the reality that the fate of the planet is at stake. What do you think is more important? We're focused on outer space, but what are we doing about challenges here and now that threaten our very existence? Not enough. It's necessary to put things in perspective. Much of humanity is also obsessed with various unseen gods and focus on the small differences between them. Thankfully, love for others is a common theme in all beliefs and is required today for every man, woman, and child to unify and make our world that better place. It's time for humanity to grow up and have an adult conversation about the challenges facing us. My message isn't only about me, it's about you and all future generations. I'm not perfect, no one's perfect. We all just have to be aware and make conscious decisions. And we also have to start calling out the Band-Aid solutions. Some people still donate to organizations that fight the very companies that those same people are invested in or are working for. That's moral poverty. Developers are still paving farmland that should be preserved as green space for future generations. That's moral poverty. Most developers are already wealthy in dollars. They don't need the money. However, they are addicted to greed. And Santa wants us to move away from greed and focus on being green. Meanwhile, the greatest gift to our grandchildren is a healthy planet with sustainable, independent, and self-sufficient communities. Mother Nature urgently needs our help. It's up to us to decide how we can help to make a difference. And remember that it's time to move volunteerism and donations beyond token gestures. Make your list of what you're going to do to save the planet in 2016 and check it twice. Because you know who's going to find out who's naughty or nice. Santa's cause is coming to town. Our gift of life is what makes the world go round. Be the change. You've got one life. I've got one life. Let's make it count. Peace, love, and harmony to all, and to all, a good life. Happy New Year.